Welcome to the Shopify Happy Hour. On this show, you'll hear from Shopify founders, operators, and experts on growth marketing strategies, lessons learned from the trenches, and other nuggets of e-commerce wisdom shared over a different drink or snack each episode. Today, I'd like to welcome Leah Marcus and Yasaman Bakhtiar, co-founders of Good Girl Snacks. They took the already adored All-American Pickle and paired it with new innovative flavors, which are sure to get your taste buds tingling with hot girl pickles. Leah and Yasaman, welcome.
Thanks for
you.
having us.
I'm excited to be a part of the hot girl club in a minute. So when I open up the jars, they got these awesome inserts where it's like, welcome to the hot girl club. So I got to embrace my hot girl vibes just throughout this episode.
Yeah, you're a
Perfect.
certified hot girl.
Mission in life has finally come true. This is amazing. Well, welcome. Excited to have you guys. So we were just talking before kicking things off about tasting pickles and having a little bit of overwhelm. So yeah, so I imagine as running a pickle brand, which is a strong flavored food, tasting can be difficult. So how often are you tasting if you're developing new flavors, and what does that process look like?
Thankfully, we're not tasting them every single day when we're developing new flavors. So we have time to think about it and, let them sit in our fridge. I would say when we're iterating different variations, we're probably tasting them like once every 2 to 3 weeks because you also have to let them pickle. And so because of that, our tastings are kind of spaced out. But most of the time, because we're working with a lot of partners that are on the East Coast, we're eating them at like 8 a.m. So sometimes it's a little tough. First thing in the morning, it's like the first thing you're putting in your mouth is a pickle. But, it's part of the job and we love it.
Yeah, there are worse things in life. And we're big pickle girls, so we don't mind it that much. But yeah, we didn't have to do that for a while, obviously, because we launched with 2 flavors, the original dill with turmeric and then honey harissa. But we're coming out with 2 new flavors and we've been teasing that online and we've been trying to perfect the recipe. So yeah, a lot more pickle consumption in the last couple of weeks, which is exciting.
Fantastic. Well, I'm a big fan of pickles and excited to try these in a minute. I do have one sort of fun pickle story. So back in the day, I was working. We had an office on 26th and Madison when I was in New York, working in my early career of online advertising. And on 27th and Madison, there was a tiny pickle shop, and all they did was sell all different varieties of pickles. And I tried a chocolate covered pickle there. They had a chocolate covered one, and it was kind of crazy. I remember it where it wasn't as bad as it sounds, but it certainly wasn't good.
We did one for Valentine's Day in collaboration with Unreal Chocolate, and we had a girl create the recipe, and she said they were actually really good. I think it's like this sweet and salty thing that people are obsessed with, and it's crunchy, so I'm sure the texture is pretty good too.
I could see the match working well. The one I had was kind of floppy and it didn't really work all that well. So
Yeah, we pride
that,
ourselves on the crunch.
good stuff, good stuff. Well, what do we have here? So I've got the honey harissa and then I've got the classic dill. Can you talk about, well, first we'll do a cheers over the a pickle cheers.
Cheers.
Happy hour. First time pickle happy hour. This is fantastic. Let's hear the crunch. We'll get the ASMR right next to the microphone. Oh yeah, that crunch is real. That's solid.
And they're organic.
Super clean, super crisp. Very, it's not like overly dill. It's just a very nice, clean pickle. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super proud of where we landed with the formulas. It was a journey to get there, especially because, it's our first time launching this product. And so we launched these February of last year and sold out in about 2 to 3 months. And we gathered so much feedback from that first drop. We literally just sent surveys to everyone, asked for everybody's feedback. And then we gathered all these comments and all this data and reiterated the formula to be what it is today. And even now, we're still making little tweaks here and there. But the 2 flavors are inspired by our Middle Eastern heritage. So the original dill has turmeric in the brine, which is a flavor that you add in a lot of different cuisines in the Middle East. And a lot of brands actually use turmeric for more for like color in the brine, but we really used it for taste. And so it adds a little tanginess and a little zestiness to the pickle, which we love. And then our honey harissa is more of like your special, like charcuterie board type pickle. It's a little sweet and a little spicy, and it's our take on the hot honey trend. And we love it. We think it's like the perfect balance of like slightly sweet, slightly spicy, a little salty. It kind of has it all.
That's amazing. So I've got to hear the story about how you both met and where the crazy idea to start a pickle brand came from.
Yeah, so Yas and I actually grew up in the same hometown in Geneva, Switzerland, and Yas stayed there up until college, and then I left when I was a kid to move to the Bay Area, and we were reintroduced right before college, and obviously had so much in common that, you know, we kind of stayed together for every single day of the rest of our lives, basically. And like Yasaman mentioned, we're both Middle Eastern, so food was always something that tied us together and something that we grew up with. So a lot of our friendship, like the foundation of it, was trying new restaurants, cooking together, sending each other recipes online. So once we graduated and kind of started working our own separate jobs, Yasaman was in the art industry, and then I was working a growth and marketing role at a tech startup. And, you know, first year out of college, you're maybe not super fulfilled and you're kind of like, oh, is this all there is to life? Because it's your first job and you're just faced with the reality of the world. So a year and a half, a year into our jobs, we started, you know, scrolling on TikTok a lot at our 9 to 5s. And obviously the algorithm knows all, so it was showing us food videos all the time. We started noticing a trend. Every other video was a pickle video, which is funny because it's kind of like in 2014, how suddenly everybody started eating avocado toast out of nowhere. It was kind of like now everyone's eating pickles out of nowhere. And we started looking into it. There was 9.5 billion views on the hashtag pickle and pickles combined on TikTok. There was a bunch of trends surrounding the snack. The first thing ever on TikTok Shop was this sweatshirt with a bunch of pickle jars on it. So there was just so much social proof that people are obsessed with pickles. We looked on the shelf and at our own snacking habits around the snack, and there was very little organic pickles on the market. There was no flavor innovation. All the packaging was very outdated. And then you looked at the beverage aisle or the snack aisle, and it was completely the opposite. There's a million different options. There's colors, there's flavors. So we started talking to people in the industry and told them our idea, because obviously best friend duo, we were fantasizing about it on the side, like any best friend duo does, like, oh, what would happen if we started this company together? And we had all these marketing ideas and crazy things we wanted to do with it. And as we expressed that to people already in the industry, people were really pushing us to do it. So we ended up quitting our jobs summer 2023. And we started building in public, so posting on social media every single day. October 2023, where we kind of started this series of day one of starting a pickle company with my best friend in our early 20s, which broke the internet, and we went viral before launching in February 2024. Like Yas mentioned, we sold out in 2 to 3 months, reformulated, relaunched in August, and we've been selling the same formula ever since, really with a focus on expanding into retail to make the product more accessible. So we launched in Erewhon in January, and we have really exciting retail launches for the rest of the year all lined up. So we're really excited and continuing our online presence and growth and really cultivating this cult following as we launch new products as well.
That's fantastic. While you were going through that, I took a bite of the honey harissa pickle, and that is delicious. It's got a good amount of heat. I don't like when brands will say there's like jalapeno or habanero or some spice in a food, and it's just kind of weak. And this
Yeah.
has a nice kick. Yeah, you guys did a really good job with it. It's got nice
Yeah.
sweetness to it, so
It
very well done.
was it's tough because we're spice lovers, but obviously when you're creating a product that's, you know, meant for the average consumer, you have to be sort of mindful of where you land on the spice level. So I think we did a good job.
Awesome. Fantastic. I would completely agree. So let's go back to when you mentioned that you were launching in public or growing in public and you broke the internet. So was it the series that took off or was it one specific post? Can you talk about what actually happened and what you were posting to grow audience at that stage?
So we kind of had to test a bunch of different series. We actually started posting on social media, and we thought that doing trends and, you know, using trending sounds would be how we would gain our following. But it was actually by kind of inviting people into the story and showing them the reality of starting a company when you don't know what you're doing, because obviously we had never worked in that space before. And so we kind of tested this phrase and this series, which was like day one of starting a pickle company with my best friend in our early 20s. And we were posting a video every day showing what we were doing to build the company. And I think 2 weeks into posting, we were in New York and we kind of spoke about how it's really weird when you first start a business because there's days where you don't really have anything to do, and how weird that feels coming from a structured 9 to 5. And I think people really resonated with the fact that we were so authentic and transparent, and the video did really well. And then from there, we kind of kept it going because we found that that series worked. And yeah, that's kind of it.
How do you look at social platforms? Do you focus more on one over another? Like how do you look at TikTok versus YouTube versus Insta? What's worked well for you and how do you approach those platforms?
So each platform kind of has a different use case. So we post short form content on TikTok and Reels, and that's really what's given us our growth. Obviously, just through the For You page and the algorithms, it's the same videos getting posted on both. And then our Instagram page, in terms of static posts, is more so how we create our brand and aesthetic. So you'll see images or event flyers, and then our stories and our community channel on Instagram is how we build community. So if you're posting about us, we'll repost you on our story. We'll give you special access to things if you're in our community channel or like via text or email. So everything is very intentional, and each section of social platforms has its own purpose, if that makes sense. But obviously, they all work really well together to kind of create this ecosystem of good girl snacks.
If you're enjoying this episode and getting value from it, I'd be so grateful if you left a quick review. It's one of the best ways to support the show and help us bring on even more incredible experts to share insights that can move the needle for your business. It only takes 10 seconds and makes a big impact. Thank you so much for tuning in and for joining us on the Shopify Happy Hour. And can you talk about your content creation process, what that looks like?
Yeah, so Yas and I will get on a call once a week and kind of discuss the plan for the following week in terms of what we're posting. Obviously, we're posting every day, so it's really hard to come up with new ideas and still get people excited and engaging with content every single day. But depending on what we're filming that week, it'll either be organizing film blocks so that, a couple times a week we have like an hour block because we're talking about the dumbest things we did since the start of the year or Good Girl Snacks updates. But like today, for example, we're posting a vlog. So I'll be recording all day and then I'll edit it at the end of the day and post it that same day. So it just really depends the plan for that week and what the goals are for that week. When we got into Erewhon, obviously all the content was surrounding Erewhon, and it was just us being like, okay, today we're going to go to 3 Erewhons and film this video. Today we're going to go ask a hot guy to open our pickle jar at Erewhon and film that and post it that day. So it really just depends. And because it's just the two of us and we don't have to go through a huge approval process, it's actually really easy to do things the same day. Or if a trend pops up, we can just kind of tap into it.
So, what advice do you have for brand owners or operators out there who are looking to grow their social and they might be nervous because they want to post content, but they don't really know exactly what to post, or they're concerned that the quality might not be as high as they need to, or they don't have a plan? What advice do you have for people out there who want to grow? Because it sounds like you've done an awesome job being authentic, and that's helped grow community, right? And then also you're planning on a weekly basis, really sharing your story. Sounds like behind the scenes stuff and just what you're working on. But what advice would you have for brand owners out there who are looking to grow?
I think you have to be super consistent with posting every day. Make sure you have a plan, and then also post the kind of content that you would want to see. As a brand founder or, whatever you're doing, what are the things you want to learn from? What are the types of creators that, you could get good insights from? So I think it's about thinking of it in that way, and then thinking of what could someone learn from you when you post a video, thinking of how am I going to get this person's attention and how am I going to bring value to whatever someone else is building or someone else is doing. And that's a way that we've brainstormed sort of ideas on how to talk about our business online.
It's also social media is a free tool, and we've spent $0 on marketing. We literally have a $0 CAC and like 76,000 followers on Instagram, 16,000 on TikTok. We have 2.5 million accounts reached every month. And if you're not using that free tool, you're doing your business a disservice. And so you'll figure it out. Like you just kind of have to put yourself out there. We didn't know what we were doing at the beginning either. And we just kind of through testing and posting every day found what works and the recipe for the series that works. So like Yas mentioned, consistency is key. What value does your content bring to somebody, whether it's someone building their own business or someone that's just like curious and they want to know what you're doing because they're nosy. And then also search engine optimization is so important, making sure you're using the right hashtag. You could have the best video in the entire world edited like a king and it can flop because you're not using the right hashtags. And so informing the algorithm about what the video is about is so important. So at first we used the hashtags pickles and hashtag vlog and hashtag mini vlog, and it wasn't getting shown to the right people. So we weren't getting as many views. And then I kind of took a step back and I analyzed the video more. And I'm like, this is really hashtag small business, hashtag business owners. And that's what this video is about. It's not the fact that it's a vlog. And the second we started using those hashtags, the video started doing a lot better because we were informing the algorithm, like, this is who you need to show the video to. And so, yeah, using the right hashtags is really important.
Are you using any research tools for hashtags, or are you just looking within platform?
Well, it's more so, I mean, we're chronically online by being Gen Z, so I think we're just a little bit more tapped into what hashtags work and how to categorize videos just in general. But if I were to give someone advice onto how to find the best hashtags, I would just find people that are posting similar content to you or what you want to be posting and just copy those and just see what ends up hitting with the algorithm.
That's awesome. How are your responsibilities distributed? What are each of your roles in the business?
So I run everything that's operations, sales, and some of the finances. And then Leah runs our social media, marketing strategy, partnerships, brand alignment. And then we come together for everything that's creative, photo shoots, product development, and all of that.
And how is that? Has that been consistent from the start?
Yes, pretty much. I mean, from the beginning, we knew that Leia was going to run her social media because that's what her experience is in. And she was doing that in her past job. And she did such a great job before. And so her specialty is really growth marketing. And then for me, I think, although I'm pretty creative, I think I'm more tapped in with anything that's like numbers related. So we kind of decided to split it up that way. And since we are best friends, having that separation is really helpful because we're not really stepping on anyone's toes and we're actually way more productive that way because we each have our daily tasks and then we come together when we need to.
So, what would you say to best friend founders out there or best friends who are looking to start a brand? It sounds like you guys are still very close, which is fantastic. That doesn't always happen. So it sounds like delineation of responsibilities where you're each working on your own things, but you're also having communication for certain areas where there's crossover. How else are you able to maintain that best friend relationship and grow a business at the same time?
I think it requires a very no ego relationship. We're not really competing with one another. We're just really building something together. And so I think we also have a lot of trust within each other. Like I know that, if we're disagreeing, if we do it Leia's way, like I trust that she knows what she's doing and, she has the business's best interest in mind. And so it's really about compromising sometimes, but then also just really having a lot of trust in each other and knowing that you're partnered with somebody who's extremely competent and you believe in them. And you believe in them because you're your best friend. So like you're rooting for them on a personal level too, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think having a no ego relationship is super important. And I think kind of having the left brain, right brain relationship also really works, like having somebody that complements what you're good at. Because I think if Leah and I were doing the same thing at Good Girl Snacks, we'd probably be like bickering all the time because we'd just be like, wait, no, I want to do this. No, I want to do that. And so, I think it's good to have some separation.
We actually got a lot of hate on the internet about starting a company with each other because everyone was like, oh, you guys are never going to be best friends in 10 years. You guys are going to end up hating each other, blah, blah, blah. But we always took the approach of, actually, this has made us so much closer because everything we're working towards is the same. It's like everything that bonds us together already is just, now at a completely different level because our futures look the same, our goals are the same, our success is the same, and we can relate to each other on such a deeper level now. And so I actually think it's kind of the most amazing thing that's ever happened to us as a duo. But again, you do have to have a very specific type of relationship and a no ego situation to make sure that that is how the relationship continues, even in business.
Well, congrats to you both because it seems like it's definitely working. Well, okay, so you launched, sounds like a couple years ago, summer of 23, is that right?
We actually launched in February 2024, but we started the company summer 2023.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So we're just over a year in,
hmm
and you said you're in Erewhon. What other retailers are you in now?
So Erewhon is the big retailer that we're in. We're in a few little stores, like for example, we're at the Goods Mart in New York. We're at Happier Grocery, also in New York. But Erewhon is the first chain that we got into, and we have a few more lined up for the rest of the year also.
So a year in, you're in Erewhon, you have others that are lined up. What do you attribute to getting into the retail? Because lots of brands launch, year, 2, 3 years later, and they're still trying to get into some big retailers. So how did you land Erewhon and some of these other accounts as well?
Well, we have, I think, a product that really stands out. And thankfully, the category that we're in and that, we're trying to get into in each store is pretty sleepy. So buyers don't really see a lot of innovation come their way. And when they do, I think they're excited about it. And I think, we've also built a pretty great social media following. We have a really strong community. And so I think a lot of the stores are, I mean, at least the stores we've spoken to, they're excited to have us on board because, we bring Gen Z through the door and they like what we stand for and they like, the packaging, how our product looks on the shelf. And so I think those are the biggest attributes to us getting in those stores.
Also, we're able to prove a pretty crazy velocity for this product. I mean, we're selling double to triple as much as our competitors right now at Erewhon. So I think having that data also helps. But yeah, I think it's just a combination of everything. Like the product is really good, the packaging is really fun, our social media and just like online presence is really strong. So it just kind of makes sense. Like this industry is honestly kind of ancient. And so the fact that we're doing things very differently, I think is also very exciting for retailers and for consumers.
Yeah, and we're trying to get into a lot of the more like natural channels and the natural stores. So the fact that we're organic and one of the only organic pickle brands out there really helps too, because stores are excited about getting in like an organic product.
No more sleepy pickles. That could be the tagline.
Yeah.
So, how do you think about, because you've got your D2C website, then you're selling in retail, how do you think about both of those when you are approaching your marketing? And just from a business standpoint as well, how are you prioritizing either channel and how are you looking at any kind of crossover effect between them?
So we launched D2C for multiple reasons. One is because obviously it's the easiest way to get your product out there and to get proof of concept. And two, because of our social presence, it's really easy to do an add to cart from watching one of our videos. That is always going to be a sales channel that we keep just because, again, we're very present on social media. And so, it just makes sense, especially as we come out with our new product, which is coming soon. Increasing D2C as it relates to Amazon and TikTok Shop will also be something that we start doing. But just because of the nature of our jar and the fact that it's glass and pretty heavy and pretty big, we feel that the growth and success of the business now lies in retail. And that's consumer behavior as well. Goes kind of against consumer behavior to purchase a jar of pickles online and do the rest of your groceries in store. So we'll balance both while prioritizing retail and really shifting our efforts into, expanding that way and just being as accessible as we can, while always keeping D2C alive somehow.
And what are your thoughts on social commerce? What are you doing with it now and where do you see that going? So, TikTok Shop and all the other platforms allowing for purchase within platform.
I think it's really intelligent. We are all chronically online and doom scrolling all the time. I just bought stuff on TikTok Shop last night. I'm just so easily convinced by, a regular person that looks just like me. They have so much more influence on me than an ad. And so if I see a video like that and there's an easy add to cart button, I'm probably going to click it. That's also just me being Gen Z though. I don't know if that is a sentiment that anyone that's older can relate to, but I think it's great. And we're really excited to have a product soon that's, the nature of that product will be easier to sell on TikTok Shop and on Amazon. So we're really excited to tap into that. I also think it's an amazing way for small businesses to sell and to sell quickly because you have these affiliate programs now where people can sign up to basically sell your product in return for free product. And so it's just like a whole new way of marketing. And I think it's a win-win-win for everybody.
Let's say you were starting over and starting a brand from scratch. Let's go back a year and a half ago or so. And you wanted to grow to, let's say, your first 7 figures in revenue between D2C, retail, and just have some serious growth from the start. What would your playbook look like? Knowing, like, if you knew back then what you know now, what would that playbook look like?
I think, well, if you can grow a business on like through e-commerce, you can make so much money because the margins are pretty insane. So if you can create a product that's easy to ship, that's lightweight, and that consumers would be inclined to buy online versus in store, then I would say go for that because we could make a lot of money doing that and really have, great revenue with that avenue. With us, we were really excited about selling online and we knew that we were going to have difficulties because we were in a heavy glass jar. They break in transit sometimes. So, there was some difficulties in selling at times, but I think, we see other brands that started out selling online and they just saw great success because their product was so easy to ship, and so they didn't need custom packaging, they didn't need to test and replace product if it breaks in transit. And so I think that would be my advice.
Yeah, for our product though, and the way that it is, we would never have done it in plastic and we would have never, gone that route just because we want to be sustainable, we want to be clean. But yeah, if it was any other type of business, 100%. E-commerce is amazing.
Gotcha. Awesome. So just speaking of that with a glass jar, early on we were talking about pickles. So how does a pickle become and stay crunchy instead of all of the floppy pickles that are out there?
Well, that's our secret sauce. We can't reveal our secrets, but there's so many different methods of pickling, and we landed on a formula that we're really happy about, and that was really our priority when we were developing the recipe is, we wanted a crunchy pickle, and there's so many different factors. There's like, the formula, the ratios you're using, and then also what kind of cucumber you're using. So yeah, there's a lot of that go into it. And then also the fact that, you keep them in the fridge, that also keeps them a little crunchier. So I think we're excited that we landed on a crunchy pickle.
Oh, it was so important for them to be crunchy, not only for like the eating experience and the enjoyment of it as well, but that's also kind of a marketing strategy within itself because if it's super crunchy, people will want to take videos with it and do ASMR style videos, which then get people really excited about buying the product. So everything is very intentional with the product itself even. And yeah, the labels right now, I mean, it literally says crunchy on all the labels in like cute handwriting. And we're making that bigger with our next production because we really want that to be one of the focuses of and our selling point for the product. But yeah, it's little secret sauce.
Good stuff. Well, that's working. That's definitely working. So, okay, so let's move on to the speed round. Each answer about 30 seconds or less, and you can either each give your own answer or one of you can speak for the group depending on each question. So, what are one of your most recommended books?
That's so hard. Shoe Dog.
I would say The Power of Now, actually.
Awesome. What is an under the radar product or brand you've used and like, but most people do not know about?
Pistachio. It's a pistachio spread our friends actually have it, and they just came out with a crunchy version, and it's amazing.
I would say, I mean, it's pretty popular in LA, but I would say Brave sauce. It's a hot honey sauce. Like it's a hot honey condiment that's actually hot because I find that most hot honeys out there are not crunchy. Sorry, we're talking about crunch and it's like still in my head, are not spicy enough.
Nice. What is one thing each of you do in life that's better than, what do you do better than most people just naturally? And how do you do it?
Give advice, and I think because I'm very empathetic.
Oh, and then I think as it pertains to our business, I think we're really good at, marketing a product in a way that's unconventional.
Right? Tell me about your favorite shopping experience, online or offline.
I love shopping at Reformation in store because they have a screen and you can add things to your fitting room like on a screen, but then you can also feel it in the actual store on a rack.
Yeah, I second that actually. I agree.
That's great. The blending of physical and digital. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Yasaman and Leah, where can people connect with you to learn more?
We're at Good Girl Snacks on all social media. You can follow our journey every single day. And then goodgirlsnacks.com, you can always find us online.
Fantastic. Leah and Yasaman, thank you so much for bringing Good Girl Snacks to market to disrupt the sleepy pickle aisle and as a way to spice up the everyday pickle with more exciting, innovative flavors, for sharing your expertise and insights with our audience, and for joining us on the Shopify Happy Hour.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
If you're enjoying this episode and getting value from it, I'd be so grateful if you left a quick review. It's one of the best ways to support the show and help us bring on even more incredible experts to share insights that can move the needle for your business. It only takes 10 seconds and makes a big impact. Thank you so much for tuning in and for joining us on the Shopify Happy Hour.